Welcome to Into the Lab, the podcast that explores all areas of crypto. I'm joined for this episode by Jeff Hancock, the CEO and co-founder of CoinPass Exchange. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Martin. Thanks for having me on. It's really great to be here.
Yeah, no worries. I think, to be honest, the first question I want to ask you is just how you found crypto, your journey in finding crypto.
My journey in finding crypto, well, it was really, really early on in my career. My background is I'm an engineer and a cybersecurity guy. So we had a client come to us saying this is back in 2013, 2014. They've been hacked. They had all their data encrypted, and they need to pay the ransom in Bitcoin. So I had the space of 2 days to kind of learn what Bitcoin was, learn how to acquire it, set up a wallet, which we set up in our data center. We sent an amount of money to an exchange and acquired some coin. Between us sourcing the coin and obviously delivering to the third party, there was a huge price crash. So we got a few extra coins left over, and it wasn't until kind of I got off my working visa here in the UK, started contracting for quite a large hedge fund, started getting some more interest in crypto again. I had my first property business, my second consulting business, and started a bit of trading and some other investing, and kind of wondered, is that Bitcoin wallet still there? So I have the address. I don't have the private key, and the leftover coin totaled to about 70 Bitcoin.
Oh,
Which is gone forever. So it's a bit of a salt and wound.
You've given it. What does she say? You've given it back to the pool. You've donated it
back.
I've
made everyone's Bitcoin more valuable, something like that.
Yeah.
I could probably still find that Bitcoin wallet on the top 1,000 list if I searched hard enough. So that was the first ever exposure to it when I first kind of, I suppose, investing into the space and dabbling here and there. I think Bitcoin was about $1,000 or something like that. It was kind of buying and holding and accumulating, getting hold of different tokens. Was deep into the ICO boom. I think I must have done like 250 ICOs. Came out relatively unscathed after the crash from 20K. And then it was kind of in that time that a lot of my kind of either co-founders or other clients of ours were asking, how can I buy 5, 10, 20,000 pounds worth of Bitcoin with no FX exposure, because all the trading and on-ramping back then in 2016, 2017 was all in euros and US dollars. So that's kind of
how did that work? Because I think I was buying it off people forums and local Bitcoin as well. How are you being able to get hold of it?
It was the expensive way in. You could there were a couple of GBP on-ramps back then, but they were notoriously slow. The spreads were massive. You were sending your pounds off into Europe somewhere. So it was far easier just to deposit euro or US dollars with FX exposure into, the Coinbase or the Krakens or those kind of platforms. So they just send it out of your account. The bank would give you a very poor rate, and 2 to 3 days time, your euros or US dollars would arrive at the payment processor. So that was my, kind of the dirty nasty way in. And this is even before, this is before stable coins. This is when you didn't have the ability to sidestep the market. Sidestepping the market was in Bitcoin or Litecoin or Ethereum or something like that.
Yeah, I think people don't realize that stablecoins are reasonably relatively new. It's in the terms of the crypto evolution, it's not it wasn't a thing that there was stablecoins in 2008, 2009. Going forward, this is
no. I mean, the first kind of real stablecoin was DAI, really, and that was from the Make a DAI, and that kind of that algorithmic, asset-backed kind of token was the first iteration of what we know as stablecoins today, and stablecoins make up more than half of the market. So it was quite a wild time. It was like you would go up a lift, 5 floors at the office I was working at, and your portfolio would do 1 or 2% while you were in the lift. It was
remember, you'd be scrolling on like the phone, like refreshing, and you'd be seeing it.
Yeah, my block follow app would kind of give up after the first 100 tokens or something like that. So it was quite a lot of management, quite a lot of wallets. I don't even want to know the amount of gas fees that I've spent over the years of doing ICOs, but every market we've seen something different. It was first ICOs, then it was initial exchange offerings, and then initial token offerings. Then we had NFTs. So now I'm sure we'll see something else of a similar breed in the next bull run.
No, totally. So obviously you've had a reasonably good exposure to crypto. What made you then think, do you know what, I'm going to set up an exchange. I'm going to go and sort of properly get people to get on into crypto.
Yeah, well, I think it was out of people saw how active I was in the space very early on. So 2016, 2017, I was investing, bit of trading, bit of dollar cost averaging, bit of everything really. I found the wallet side, the cybersecurity side of it very easy. In fact, I used to make content on various social platforms back then, really, really old stuff. Kind of simple by today's standards, but it was something that kind of everyone needed to grasp in order to, even get involved in crypto. Where the first real why should we start CoinPass came out was when my co-founders and actually a few people I was working with in Mayfair at the time were asking me, how can I put £20,000 into Bitcoin or into Ethereum?
Yeah.
And there was no real scalable way back then, because I explained to them there are one or two kind of UK platforms. They're not very good. You're still sending your funds overseas anyway. You're probably going to get slipped 5%. So just pay the FX rate that you're getting from your bank. It's cheaper and just as effective. And they go, no, well, why isn't there, a platform for retail to corporates that want to do those kind of sizes? And I went, that's a really good question. Why don't we start our own? And so it was me opening my big mouth in 2017 that kind of got it started. I still have the white frame over there in the corner, which is the A5 or whatever size bit of paper is, with the business plans, 2 lines at the top, a bit of a drawing of the infrastructure, and a bit of a financial model at the bottom, with a wine stain in the corner. And we've still, obviously a far derivative of that, but that core piece of paper is still relevant even 5 years on.
Oh wow! So, what was the goal then when you were setting it up? Did you have an aim for the exchange?
So I mean, we funded it with our own money, which is very uncommon. We grew completely organically for 3 years without any funding. The original goal was to sell 1 Bitcoin to 1 person, and we did that on the second day. We're like, well, okay, what do we do now? And that kind of changed it kind of radically, is that we wanted to be agnostic of the market. We didn't want to take put a lot of risk on the balance sheet for offering new products or features or tokens. We have a very stringent token selection criteria for adding new assets to the exchange, which is why we don't have 300 tokens on the platform. I used to work at a casino doing cybersecurity. I have no interest in running a casino.
No.
But it came to being a diversified selection of assets that were good quality. We wanted all of our users, whether they're retail, corporates, investors, institutions, whatever vehicle they're onboarding with our exchange, they need to be able to get in and out of the market very quickly, because the market changes second by second. Right now it could be £15,000 for a Bitcoin. 2 hours from now it could be 10,000, and some of those people want to move funds from the, I was going to say legacy, I keep saying legacy banking system, existing financial system, into crypto very fast, very easily, without getting their hands cuffed over making their own investment decisions. So we definitely want to kind of bring it, power to the people, and power to people that want to put money into crypto, but do it in a safe, compliant, and regulated way. And there was just no one offering that back in 2018.
Yeah, because I think 2018, that was when we were starting to get a lot more of the coins, and even like a lot of the coins that we sort of have heard of now, rather back in the 2013 days, where they're just, if you look at like CoinMarketCap, you can do the history function. It's really weird to see like the top 30, near enough none of them exist anymore now.
Exactly.
How do you decide sort of what assets you want to list? And surely you might get pressure from customers wanting like riskier assets, and you're like, well,
it really depends. I mean, I think now that we offer GBP on-ramping to stablecoins and vice versa, it opens up that envelope quite a lot, because people can take those stablecoins off and go into DeFi, go into NFTs, or go into other assets we might not support. We have a token listing matrix, which is our compliance document that was required to get our UK FCA license. And we basically look at kind of existing tokens. Where's the liquidity for them? Are they on, other top tier exchanges? Are they supported by market makers and other market participants? Are they available on DEXs? Is there a lot of trading activity and trading volume? Usually the exchange, whether they work directly with a project or market make themselves, have some sort of exposure to those tokens, whether they buy them or, or bond yield them, or however they get access to those tokens, which we didn't particularly want to do just because of our size and a few other factors. Who's trading it and where are they trading it? Basically, where's the volume at? Is it all centralized around a handful of wallets, i.e., it can be dumped very aggressively, or is there enough liquidity spread out over multiple places to actually make it a proper decentralized token? We look at the on-chain analytics of it. Again, what's the wallet distribution? Is this a post-ICO token that's still centralized to a handful of wallets, or has it got hundreds of thousands of users worth of support? What does the token actually do? I mean, there are so many Ethereum killers now. I think it's kind of lost its kind of sheen. Does it fit into one of the three categories that the FCA, which we work in the UK, we're a UK business, so we're exposed to the FCA, our regulator. Is it an exchange token? Is it a utility token? Or is it a stable coin? So those are the three, or payment token as well. XRP and XLM, they're like payment tokens. So do they fit in those four categories? If they fit in the last two categories, which we definitely don't support, are they a privacy token? Or are they a security token? Those are the two that we definitely don't offer. So there's kind of layers to our token listing criteria that allows us to offer, a robust but popular set of tokens that the majority of our users want to trade. The funny thing is, though, what we've kind of found over time, and this is kind of a history to CoinMarketCap and the new tokens that come and go so often. Every time we add 4 or 5 or 6 new tokens, we end up just doing more volume in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stablecoin. So you kind of have to pick your battles one at a time.
Yeah, because I remember the old time you would have Bitcoin, and then that was a way that you get your other crypto. So you get in through Bitcoin, and then you'd have to move. And again, this is something if you're not familiar with how it was.
Everything was Bitcoin derived because Bitcoin was the only asset across every single exchange. Now you've got stablecoins on every exchange, so you can do your swap rates. We have Ethereum across every single exchange, but there was the only common denominator between all trading venues was Bitcoin. So the majority of all of my trading was Bitcoin versus Ethereum and Bitcoin versus Litecoin and Bitcoin versus all the other variants. So you were dealing with these just insanely huge numbers in terms of decimal places, because one Bitcoin would equal 0.0007 something of another token. And then you try and do your swaps and what am I actually buying it for? What's my break even? What's my take profit? You were doing like triangular arbitrage just to try and see where is actually my position on this token. So if I bought it in Bitcoin and traded it to this ICO token or into Ethereum into an ICO token, I would have to then go and monitor that if I don't get at least a 30% return, I should have just held Bitcoin. So there was a lot of that kind of portfolio management, arbitraging math very early on in my own portfolio, let alone I'm not really sure what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, no, totally. One of the questions I always get is people that are just about to go into the market. They've got like $100, £100. They go, I want to buy crypto, or a lot of people think Bitcoin is just crypto, not other coins. How would you advise them to do that? Especially as we probably see now, just with the self-custody, there's a lot of barriers to entry. What advice or what would you be saying?
So I think it comes down to the individual's strategy. I mean, if you're looking to buy some crypto and just sit and hold on it, you always have to take into account your what app you're using to start with. Are you using a mobile-based app that delivers the coin to a wallet? Is it going to be custody by the exchange, which is how our platform works, a centralized exchange, or are you looking to trade it? So if you're just looking to, dollar cost average £100 a month or £25 a month or whatever it is, and the exchange will have some sort of withdrawal fee because there is a cost to storing the coin, doing security, all the compliance policies, all that kind of stuff. So there will always be a cost to withdrawing it somewhere, as well as the blockchain mining fee. So if you're buying £100 and the withdrawal fee might be £3, that's a 3% charge on your capital. Yeah. But if it's say £1,000 worth of Bitcoin, the withdrawal fee is going to be the same. So it might be like, less than 1%. So I definitely look into what are your exit costs, because one thing that everyone's kind of noticed with the kind of ecosystem we live in now, you either pay for the product or you are the product. right?
Yeah.
So with crypto, the whole thought about paying for a transaction to go on a blockchain is very foreign to a lot of people. When I can send anyone £10 on my Revolut or on my Monzo app, and it just arrives magically in thin air in a couple of seconds. The banks are paying for all that kind of transmission fee, and you pay for it by they can do whatever the hell they want with your money. Now that we have crypto and we have blockchain, actually having to pay for a transaction and pay for usage of a network is something that a lot of people haven't really grabbed their heads around just yet. So if you're going to buy 100 quid and your goal is to buy £1,000 of crypto over a year, then there's nothing wrong with leaving it on an exchange as long as you trust that exchange. Now, there's a lot of trust that goes into it. So where are you buying it? Are they a local exchange? Were they recommended by someone? Did you follow some referral link? Was it a promotion or something? Where is that exchange based? Some exchanges are based in the Seychelles. They're based in Panama. They're based in Hong Kong on the other side of the world. So for any reason, you lose access to the account or your account becomes compromised, who's actually acting on your behalf? So dealing with someone in your own jurisdiction or your own time zone at least, and doing some proper research on that company is definitely key. Now, if you're buying a more substantial amount, like you get to say that £1,000 mark, and the withdrawal fees are less than negligible, then going onto something like a cold wallet is definitely my advice for everybody. I think everyone should have a cold wallet in their arsenal. Assets on exchange are fine for trading. Assets on exchange are fine for smaller amounts. But when you get into a reasonable size pot, you have to have some sort of cold storage device. It is very common to send crypto from exchange 1 to exchange 2, and it just arrives in your deposit wallet, and that's fine. But for any reason your accounts become locked or you lose access to them, sending exchange to exchange can be dangerous sometimes. It really depends. It's a very, how long's a bit of string? So having all of your assets on a cold storage until you need them is definitely the advice I give to absolutely everybody. The Ledger devices are amazing. They're very easy to use. They're not tough to learn. Ledger just released a new one this week as well, which has a companion
mobile really
app.
good with the
looks really good. The stacks, so I'll definitely have to get one or two of those. I don't know. They might sell them like a pack of 5 or something. I don't know, but I'm definitely going to play with them. I've got 2 ledgers that are actually replicated. So I keep one here in the UK and I keep one in Australia, and I keep basically the restore codes for those completely separate. So I can't even restore it if I need to. I need both halves of it to restore, so it's very secure. I do also quite like wearing the ledger around my neck if I have to travel, and you have to you have to disclose: are you carrying more than $10,000 worth of currency? Dollars? No. You want to measure Satoshi's? Different question. But no, being able to self custody your crypto is kind of the whole point. Keeping it on a mobile device or a mobile wallet is not. Definitely, it's not unsafe, but you're kind of missing the whole principle of it. The principle of being self-custody and holding your crypto in cold storage is something that everybody has to learn. And in fact, if you take the time to learn it, having your exchange account, having your cold storage, maybe you might have a what's called a hot wallet or a warm wallet, which might be a web browser extension or something like that, and being able to move those assets around how you want to use them is top tier 1%. Crypto bro kind of skill set. It seems really basic, but I mean, a lot of people just don't ever go to the extreme to learn it and understand it. And it's not difficult. It's just there's a bit of a language barrier you need to overcome, but everyone can learn it. Everyone should do it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's funny, we've come from being worried that exchanges are going to be hacked, like Mt. Gox, to now not worrying about the exchanges being hacked, but are the exchanges actually holding my money, where the crypto, and it's completely got a new narrative of not your keys, not your crypto, i.e. if you're not self-custodying, you're not having this. But it's near enough, it's a shame, because the weak points of the exchanges, i.e. the being hacked, seems to have been a lot better now, but now it's just like exchange risk, exchanges are...
It's a very big topic that's getting a lot of attention now. Obviously, we have the FTX thing, and that was purely just fraud. That wasn't being hacked. We've had other exchanges that have been hacked in the past, but the actual hacking itself was on the API or on the operations instructions. So as far as the hot wallet's concerned, it gets a genuine instruction to send that crypto somewhere, or it's just a completely internal malicious move. It's very hard to prove, oh yeah, they were hacked, but we never know the details of it, right? Some exchanges get hacked twice in the same year for exactly the same amount for some reason. So it's one of those kind of how long's a bit of string. So there's always going to be a counterparty risk when you're dealing with a centralized exchange. and you get to be your own bank when you self-custody. And at the moment, that's still kind of not for everybody. The new model that I kind of see crypto going in kind of the next 2 to 5 years, I think we're already starting to see that merge, is where you have the custody provider on one side, which does nothing but wallet security. They do nothing but crypto storage, and you connect your exchange accounts to them. And then you have your trading venue, which does all the trading and the charting and all the kind of funky stuff, but they don't hold any assets. So all the risk is on the custodian. Now, there are a lot of bulletproof, really, really good custody solutions out there. Now, they're still a centralized company, but if they don't have any trading risk, they are legally not allowed to touch the funds. Technically, FTX were not allowed to touch the funds, but whatever. They have a more strict licensing regime. Their overhead costs are a lot lower because they're not doing all the trading and the custody now. It's a siloed solution, and that's what traditional financial services are. Where you execute and trade and match orders is not the same venue that you go and store your assets with on the custodian side. So I think it'll start with institutional first, and then kind of like filter its way down to corporates. But I think there'll be a solution in the future where, you know, you as a regular retail user, again, paying for what you use, you know, actually paying for a service. You might pay an assets under management fee. It'll probably be pretty cheap. So if you buy £1,000 of Bitcoin now, in a year's time, it doubles to £2,000 worth of crypto. You're just going to pay that base, you know, I don't know, 30 bips fee or something like that, which is like £6 a year. It's cheaper than Netflix. And they'll have adequate, you know, security. They'll have more than adequate insurance. You'll be able to call someone on the phone, and that little kind of, you know, crypto custody service will literally have all the API tie-ins to say, connect my CoinPass account, connect my Coinbase account, connect my Kraken account. And now you've got your assets in one spot and you can trade anywhere. That's where I think crypto is going to go and evolve to in the future, because there is too much counterparty risk now on a normal central exchange that has trading, execution, deposits, withdrawals, custody, banking, staking, kind of all in one. We've kind of taken all of these financial services and put them back down into one, you know, one isolated body, when really they should be kind of split out into a few different areas. It'll make it more specialist. I think it'll be really good for crypto. Increases the security, increases the amount of points that an attacker might have to touch to get access to those assets. And overall, I think it's just a way that the space becomes more legitimate and more professional.
That's right.
And we're already seeing those kind of moves happen.
We have. You mentioned earlier that you're regulated by the FCA, and I feel regulation is going to be the hot topic of next year, 2023. What do you think the positives of regulation can be like if it's regulated, and maybe what regulation is probably going to be good for the industry?
So regulation gets kind of a bad rap. I think where regulation is done well is that when you have, you know, it's country specific, which is a problem because countries move at different speeds. They're funded differently, they're decided differently, policies, blah, 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 good politics. But it basically sets a baseline for, you know, regulators are there to provide a safe and fair marketplace for all investors to engage in an asset class. So every time, you know, the FX market was not regulated at one stage, you know, the oil market was not regulated at one stage. So as these markets get bigger and more, you know, more proficient and more liquidity wants to come in, there has to be a legal framework for everyone to abide by. And this is where DeFi and centralized exchanges are always going to differ. The regulation is good in a way that, you know, if it's fair and it's attainable, and, you know, having to register with a regulator and follow the guidelines isn't too laborious, then I think it can work very well. What we've seen are just very different executions of very different guidelines in different countries, which makes it difficult for even the business operator to understand, but also people that are engaged in that market even harder. You kind of just see it as a logo. Oh, they're regulated by the FCA, or they're registered for AML, or whatever it is. But it doesn't mean anything unless, you know, everyone's playing by the same rules. So that's kind of why it's there and why it's a good thing. Some of the FTX stuff I think could have been avoided with, you know, they were registered with the Bahamian authority, but I doubt they were doing their checks and balances properly. How can your head of risk be the head of risk for two companies that counterparty trade with each other? It's just a massive conflict of interest. When we went through our FCA license, the fact that I was CEO and I do a bit of product stuff and I do a bit of HR and a bit of whatever it is, that's fine. But one thing they even said, oh, your COO is the same person that deals with your finance. You know, when are you going to separate that role off? Because that person's going to be over leveraged. It's not a conflict, but that one person will be over leveraged. So having those kind of checks and balances on the people that sit behind the software and the people that sit behind the policies was such a big thing of our registration with the FCA that I think could have caught out a lot of other problems that have happened in the space, where companies are either run by 4 people. Like Bitrix was run by 4 people when they had 250,000 users and nearly imploded 3 times. It also helps with the getting in and out of the market a safe way. Banks by default hate crypto, but there are some that are maturing faster than others because they say, well, we don't like you sending money to this exchange in Panama, so we're going to stop payments to there. But any exchange that follows this framework, we're completely fine with. Do what you like. And there's some banks in the UK that are starting to do that. We don't like you sending money to Estonia or to Latvia or to wherever, but if you send money to any of these IBANs that we know about, that are FCA registered firms, that are UK companies, that are following the registration process, that are followed by the FCA, that have good, account keeping and compliance policies, you can send as much money there as you want. So I think regulation can work when it's fair and when it's properly designed, when the bar's not set too high and not too ridiculous. But there's still a little bit way to go, and unfortunately, regulation and politics move the slowest pace of anything.
I do hope with the regulation that does come in that they do speak to people in crypto as well and crypto experts. That
I wish they did too.
So I understand.
So they did the FCA did a crypto sprint a couple of months ago, which I think was a 2 or 3 day event in London. It was well attended. Our compliance officer went on our behalf, but they are listening. But what they kind of have is they have financial services in a box. How do we put crypto in the box? Is that, well, crypto is an unregulated instrument. So how do you regulate an unregulated instrument? So it kind of forms a kind of a hybrid regulation, but they are trying. They'll take, they'll put out like a survey for interest. What do you think about this? What do you think about stablecoins? What do you think about EMIs? Blah, blah, blah. And they'll engage with the greater community, but it is quite a lot of work just to engage and respond to one of their surveys or respond to one of their calls to action. So it is literally, we've got people in our team, their full-time job is just to engage with the FCA and engage with the policy changes and keep up to it. And it might be something that gets put into place now has to be mandatory by March next year. So we have to do a product change to keep up with that change, so there's a bit of kind of toing and froing, and it's like imagine like a landmine with legs. It'll keep moving around. You can kind of see where it is, but you got to be careful not to step on it.
So it must be quite frustrating for you where you're going with the FCA, going through all the guidelines, and you just see exchanges sort of open up in an offshore company with probably no protection for the users at all. Probably users don't even realise the amount of work that you guys do and like why there's value in it as well.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the latter. I mean, having some snazzy branding and a cool mobile app that's spun up in a couple of months is just money. You can do it with any designer, with any company anywhere in the world. And what I've definitely seen on, from sports is very, very popular. So sports sponsorships in crypto. And we've seen numerous sports teams have multiple brands and logos that are not even here anymore. They were kind of very, very short run. The worst example I saw, I won't name the football team or the company, but if you followed like the base link or the base branding to get to their website and sign up an account, which I did. So I test everything. You would deposit with your credit card. You get slipped about 4% on your first deposit. And then the first buy Bitcoin that you would get would open you up 125x leveraged USDT to Bitcoin position. That's not buying Bitcoin. That's doing a proper degen YOLO trade. But that was the base offering. So at 125% leverage, as soon as the price moved, 10 basis points against you, your account will be gone. So there's some kind of sleazy stuff out there, and I think it's definitely on the latter thing you said, the lack of either education or the lack of transparency or how that platform actually works is where a lot of people are getting turned off from crypto or feeling like they're being ripped off.
Definitely.
And it comes down to just really smart marketing and smart product design. That's nothing more than seeking revenue or seeking alpha.
Sure. And on the final question of today, what's in store, do you think, for next year? I know we spoke about regulation, but is there anything maybe non-regulation that you feel could be driving the market or for CoinPass? or
So
anything?
yeah, so I think market wise, I'm always a glass half full kind of guy, but I think this bear market's going to last longer than anyone really wants it to. I don't think we've seen what is it now? It's December 6th or 7th. We're still getting to the bottom of the whole FTX scandal, and the deeper that one gets, the market will continue to respond to it. I think pricing is kind of super thin and volatile right now, so we could see a dip all the way down to 10K. We could see another rise, but I think the better half of next year will still be bear market. So we might stay at these prices. We might creep up a little bit, but I think there's more downside risk than up. That's just on price. So I think that's going to scare away a lot of retail or new users coming into the space. It's not going to stop the institutions from buying low because they have a 5 to 10 year sort of strategy horizon. So kind of take with that what you will. What people are definitely investing in is the infrastructure. So, custody plays, setting up the right liquidity providers, making the right partnerships, taking time with their builds. People are obviously letting go of staff because the window's going to last a while. So I think it'll be kind of a slow moving part of next year. NFTs will make a comeback eventually in maybe a different style, shape, and form. I think the tech is good, the idea is good, but I mean, JPEGs are JPEGs, bro. Just move on. I think the DeFi space has been incredibly resilient. In fact, I think the DeFi space and the decentralized exchange space has gotten more activity over the last few months. People moving away from away from centralized exchanges, focusing more on self-custody, getting their assets into liquidity pools that give them 3, 4, 5% instead of 0. I think we'll see another regulated stablecoin or two to kind of diverse away from USDT or USDC. And obviously the Binance one as well. So I think we'll see more on the stablecoin side. And then I think what we'll start to see more of, there'll be more household brands bringing crypto to their users. So the whole like B2B2C play, which is where we're doing a lot of focus. We'll always have our retail side, which is you can deposit pounds, deposit euro, buy some coin, buy some stable coin, trade it, move it around off exchange, wallets, etc. That'll always be there. We will be adding staking. That's something we've wanted to add for a while now, but the core infrastructure will be very tricky to set up. We are not running it like a Celsius black box. So, we'll give you flat 5%, blah, here it is. All of our staking and returns are going to be based on chain. So we're only offering tokens that actually have on-chain staking activity. So that's like Ethereum, Tezos, Polkadot, Cardano, those kind of things you actually gain rewards from. We're not going to do Bitcoin 5% and Litecoin 5% because those just don't exist. That's where a lot of the market risk comes from. We will do some stablecoin stuff as well. We've got a couple of partners coming on board that do liquidity staking via USDC or USDT, as well as some other kind of like DeFi swaps. So be able to buy, 100, 200 pounds worth of stablecoin. You click one button. We stake it on your behalf from our secured custody partner, which is called Fireblocks, and all the returns will stay there in the platform with a 1 day stake, 1 day and stake. And the way we've designed it is that you only have one what they call taxable event. Some providers will pay you the interest back into your account every single month. That actually in the UK creates a taxable event. Versus our product's going to roll it up over time until you unstake it, and then you only have one taxable event, which is really good for your accountancy perspective.
And just for people to know, can you just explain the difference between staking on chain and what Celsius and other companies were doing with? Because I think that there's like quite a bit of a misconception of why that's actually there's a big difference in that.
So they're kind of thrown together, unfortunately, because staking on chain is actually very cool when you start to unpack the economics of it. So let's start with the centralized version, what like BlockFi, Voyager, Celsius, etc. You would deposit your tokens there, and they would offer you a rate, but you're loaning the tokens to that company. You go read the terms of service. You basically have a claim to your original crypto with the interest rolled up over 30 days, whatever the calculation period is. But you're effectively loaning it to someone else. It's just like, Martin, here's my Ferrari. You owe me 100 quid when you give it back. Well, if you give it back. And you're essentially loaning it to that company. Now, once the company has those assets, they are free to do with it whatever they want. They can sit on it. They can algo trade it. They can loan it to someone else, which is the biggest part of their business. And if they're giving you 5%, they have to get someone to borrow it off them for 10%. right?
Yeah.
So there's got to be someone out there that says, yes, I will pay 10% interest on that Bitcoin because I'm going to make more money from it. So they'll take that Bitcoin and they'll go algo trade or do something else with it. Now you've got, your crypto's actually moved twice now, and as soon as you start to get that in your head, like, well, okay, what if they loan it to someone else? Like, well, they're allowed to, because it's just a loan on a loan on a loan. You can see how bad that gets really quick. If you go watch the a really good example of this is the casino scene with Selena Gomez on The Big Short, where they're like, I bet you 2-1 I get a blackjack next hand, and someone's like, I bet you 20-1 that guy wins his bet, and then someone behind them goes, I bet you 50-1 that guy wins his bet. That was the entire 2008 financial market, was a bet on a bet on it. So it's just a loan on a loan. That's how the centralized model worked. And you can see obviously very quickly how volatile that can get, especially when you get someone like 3 Arrows Capital taking crypto funds they borrowed from 3 companies deep. They went and bought 100 million worth of NFTs at the top of the market. There's no way to recover that value ever, because they're all worth zero now. So it's a very, very big house of cards. Now, put all the crap to the side for a second. Let's talk about the better fun stuff. Talk about DeFi or on-chain staking, where let's pretend you're self-custodying for a moment. So forget the exchanges. You have a Ledger wallet, or you have a MetaMask or some sort of wallet in your web browser, and you have some Ethereum there, some Polkadots, or whichever wallet you use, it's irrelevant. And what you can do is you can interact directly with that blockchain and lock your liquidity up for a period of time. Some of them don't have any particular lockups. And by adding liquidity to the network, every time transactions need to be moved around, and crypto needs to be moved from wallet A to wallet B, there's obviously a fee involved with that. But because you're providing liquidity to the network, you'll get a fraction of all of those kind of fees. So when staking tokens on chain, whether you lock it up for a day, a week, a month, however long you do it, you will get rewards basically in that same native token. Now, the token the token value can still go up and down, so you still have that, the volatility there inherently. But instead of the asset sitting there dormant on an exchange doing nothing, you could be actively participating in the blockchain space by doing that. Now, extend that one kind of step further to decentralized finance, DeFi. When you lock up certain tokens on a certain platform to provide trading liquidity to other people that might want that token, you will get additional rewards in either the base token or a different token, which is kind of like yield farming. So there are a bunch of ones like Sushi Swap, Pancake Swap, Harvest. There's a whole bunch of different ones out there where you can lock up your USDC and another token that needs liquidity. And basically you sit on both sides of the trading pair and take a fee of the native token, or you take a fee in a secondary token. And that's how you can expand your crypto portfolio pretty drastically, pretty quickly if you do some of the lower cap stuff. But there's plenty of different ways and lots of different products where you can gain exposure to 3, 4, 5, 7, maybe even 10% yields, depending on the risk level, by simply deploying your capital in a decentralized way, by doing it yourself with your own wallet. And there's just thousands and thousands of applications out there that are worth looking at. So I play with a few every now and then. Can't name them for obvious reasons because it's a podcast, not financial advice. But there are a lot of really, really good projects out there that are all on chain. The secure smart contracts, they've all been audited. You can get in for as little as, some of the gas fees are quite heavy. Some of them might be $15 to engage your first smart contract, the initial signature. So, you kind of play around with it with chunks of maybe 100, 200, 500 at a time. But the rewards are there for the people that want to experiment in that kind of space. And I think it's a really, really exciting space that doesn't have an upper limit. So that's what kind of keeps me excited about staking and DeFi.
That's brilliant. Jeff, thank you so much for your time today. And we'll speak in the new year. Thanks very much for that. Cheers.
Thanks for your time.